dating after 50, finding love after 50. What is it that men and women need to understand about their expectations when it comes to starting a new relationship? Thank you so much for joining us today on Second Act TV. So happy to welcome Dr. John Gray back to our show today, the author of the most well-known and trusted relationship book of all times, Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. John, thank you so much for joining us again.
A pleasure to be back.
Great to have you back. And I should tell our audience, of course, you've written over like 20 relationship books, the most recent of which is Beyond Mars and Venus. I've got it sitting right over there.
I see that. Thank you.
And well, you've essentially taken the framework of your iconic bestseller and applied it to today's complex relationship world. And one of the complexities that remains, and I'd like to talk with you about here today, is the expectations women and men have and how they differ about relationships. I mean, we do a lot of programming, on dating after 50, finding love after 50. Now we're in a great new relationship. And then all of a sudden things seem to shift and change when you start questioning yourself. When I think, based on what you say, what I've read, the real question is, do you have unreasonable relationship expectations? So let me throw it over to you. What is it that men and women need to understand about their expectations when it comes to starting a new relationship?
Well, when people will approach, there's many directions to approach it from, but one is you're dating somebody and you start feeling a bit disappointed. Okay, that's one aspect of unrealistic expectations or realistic expectations. You want to get rid of the ones that don't seem to work, and you want to find the best one. But often we lose the best one because we have unrealistic expectations. And I want to explain why we have those. There's a difference between men and women. And men are most motivated when their testosterone levels go up in your presence. We look at, often people say dopamine is the brain chemical of motivation. If there's a fire, there's danger, dopamine gets produced. But what actually gives you the motivation to do it as a man is a surge of testosterone goes up. And generally in the beginning of a relationship, because you don't have any history together, if dopamine goes up because of the newness, just simply a new partner, a new start over, now I get to start again and getting to know this person. Because it's new and different, dopamine gets produced. Dopamine in a man raises testosterone and causes him to experience automatic motivation. So you'll never meet a man more motivated than in the beginning. So just know that, because it's going to go away.
Yeah, so that's when he does all the little things. He
right.
Talks to you. All the stuff that women need. Because one of the things I think you mentioned is that women fall in love with potential and they expect things to keep getting better, while men, once they've done it, they stop doing it, and that's
right. They will stop. But you have the power as women, when you understand men, how to keep him motivated. But the most important thing is just understand the brain chemistry. For a man, dopamine raises testosterone. Testosterone gives him energy. When my testosterone goes down, it's like I have magnets on my butt. Don't want to do anything I don't have to do. It's literally the male efficiency gene. Now, women, you don't have that gene. You can learn to be efficient, but you don't have that gene. We've got 28 genes that you don't have. That means functions, okay? One of those genes makes penises, etc. But one of them is never do something unless you have to. So in the beginning of a relationship, the dopamine goes up, and there's a biology of simply dopamine. Newness stimulates dopamine, but the reason it does, if we go level deeper, newness is danger. Whenever anything is new, it means I haven't figured it out yet. I don't know what could happen yet. Familiarity produces serotonin. Mm-hmm. So dopamine and serotonin are kind of going up. I'm all excited about this. And then once you get to know each other, you feel more comfortable. For men, what women would call lazy or uninterested. You can go to a restaurant and you can see who's on a date with a man and a woman versus a married couple. The man on a date is looking right at her. because it's new. What's going to happen? Am I going to get laid, or is she the one for me, or is this going to work out? Am I going to say the right things? Am I eating? Do I have enough manners? I remember I used to be afraid to eat chicken with my fingers, trying to do it with a knife. I just eat it with my hand. So, all right. So that's an example of the danger of newness is actually a subtle danger. It's danger that actually produces the dopamine. And for men, it's like as a fire, suddenly he has the energy to run into that fire and lose his life even. He literally is going to be hero. So that's the testosterone side of it. And that's what makes him be very attentive, motivated, interested, wondering who you are, but now he knows who you are. So he doesn't realize that women are changing all the time, different outfits, So that's why women change outfits. At least it creates some change here, gets a man's attention. Otherwise, he doesn't even see you when you walk in the room. Okay, so that's male. Females, when the newness is there, their estrogen levels go up. And estrogen is produced automatically, free estrogen, and when there's the newness of a relationship. So whenever you're feeling love, when you're feeling happy, when you're feeling joy, when you're feeling sad, any type of emotion and feeling is estrogen. You need estrogen to have those feelings. So strong emotion comes up, estrogen's going up. Well, dopamine makes strong emotions of either fear or happiness or excitement, anticipation, giddiness. it's a very feminine thing, new and different. And so this is the unrealistic expectation that men have, which is I'm on these dates with her and it seems like it's so easy for her to be happy. So that's our unrealistic expectation, is that little things make you happy. I don't have to do much at all. I call you and you're so excited to hear me. And I noticed this with my daughters when they were all growing up as teenagers. The guy would just call and they have big conversations. Oh, what did he say? What was it? It's the anticipation of being in a relationship. And that's seeing a man's potential or fantasizing about what's possible, what could be possible. Yeah. That's why I tell men on the first date, just a little kiss is enough. Let her now have that one kiss and now fantasize about what you possibly could be. Don't try to go further. You might get rejected, and sabotage the whole thing, pushing her too far. But kisses are good. I just want to mention that for dating people, because the lips, hand connection does a little bit, smell does a little bit, but there's something designed in the lips. There's that old song, "How do you know he loves you?" It's in the kiss. It's in the kiss. Not a big long kiss or whatever, unless it happens to be that way for the woman, but just a little, and then back off and then see if she wants more. Maybe she doesn't. And don't be discouraged, men, if she doesn't seem to be thrilled about it. Sometimes has to go into the supercomputer and, well, that was really nice. I did like that. And then her mind will start to think of good things about you, because getting into a relationship after many relationships that didn't work out, or after your partner died, whatever it is, it didn't work out. That's a little bit of a trauma, and big trauma for some, little trauma for others. But still, when you're actually in that moment where you're considering opening up a little more with this person, that trauma gets activated. And so you can't expect someone to know right away. You can't accept yourself to know right away. That's why you go easy with it.
Yeah, well, one of the takeaways I think that I got anyway from reading some of your chapters and some of your other articles is that men, as you said earlier, they start pulling away, and then we misinterpret that because we expect everything to get better. So whatever standard is set on that first date or early on in the relationship, women think is going to get better, where men take it back, and that all has to do with hormones, I guess, as well.
Exactly. So let's talk about that one. So it's very natural, as a man's getting close to you, he will get close. And this is very hormonal even. He's getting close to you. He starts producing more estrogen in his body. He likes you. So he's enjoying being with you. Anything where you enjoy yourself, you feel affection, warmth, love, that's a lot of estrogen. So when men start to feel a lot of estrogen, quite naturally, his testosterone goes down. And the only way to rebuild his testosterone is to distance himself for a while. Testosterone goes up when you're feeling very free and independent, and estrogen goes up when you're feeling in relationship with someone, interdependent with each other. So he got really close to you. He's going to pull away. Every woman's experienced this, but they don't know how to interpret it correctly. And when he pulls away, it's like a rubber band. He's pulling back, it gets taut, and then he springs in there. He's pulling away. That raises his testosterone up by being in non-personal situations. He's more impersonal. That's testosterone goes up. And now he's got enough testosterone to go over there and miss you and want to be with you and so forth. And there's not like 3 days. It's not like 2 months, whatever it is. It's what's going on in his biology. But a woman's tendency is to sabotage at that time. One, by taking it personally and letting him know he's hurt your feelings. That would just be devastating for him. He'd lose interest. Many men don't call back after a sexual encounter because they've waited 2 weeks and now they're afraid to face you and have you say, well, that hurt me. So sometimes it's just he thinks you're mad at him because he hasn't called you back. So what you want to do after he's pulled away, don't pursue him in any way to seek your reassurance. Rather, go spend time with your girlfriends in your life and feel good and be patient with this. But you want to make sure you're giving him the message that there's this amazing woman over here that you're attracted to, and you should call me. But you don't say it like that. What you do is you send him an FYI, for information only. This is a little note. It just, you imagine in your mind that he called me up and he says, how was your day today? And you just say something that was your day today. I had croissants at a new restaurant that opened up. This is my friend. We were in heaven. There were rainbows. See, women have the ability to amplify emotional happiness with little things. So you say something happened and then amplify it. You know, it was like the best steak I ever had. You know, whatever it might be, the desserts were to die for. So a really short little message, not asking a question, not asking him where he's at with the relationship. You're letting him know where you're at with the relationship, and where you're at with the relationship is nothing about him. Is that he hasn't called back, but you have a life, you're moving on and you're a happy lady, but you're still connecting with him. Then his experience is, oh, I'm going to give you a call. Happy lady, not mad at me. And I get so many examples of women saying, this stuff really works. I can't believe it. He immediately called me. It was just, or he doesn't. But you want to keep the relationship going without having to go seek reassurance from him. Give him reassurance that you're not a needy woman and you're happy.
Oh, that is so important. And the whole cave thing, cave time thing, which I know you coined, is women just don't get it. You have to be constantly reminded. So thank you for bringing that up.
The bottom line here is men will give you a lot in the beginning and you're giving him a lot just naturally because of the dopamine, right? And then he'll start to pull back. He will always start to pull back. If you don't interpret that correctly, you'll take it personally, feel hurt, or you'll want to have a conversation about it. It's like, what's the matter? Why did you do that? We were getting so close. What's the status of a relationship, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That's you as a woman seeking to find reassurance, like what went wrong. And that's tough. You know, you kind of go, what did I do wrong? Did I smell bad? Did my breath bad? That I'm not pretty enough? I mean, your brain just goes into all this doubting and freaking out kind of stuff. So you just want to go connect with him and get some positive message that, you know, he's still interested in you. He likes you, or I didn't do anything wrong is what you want to know.
I was just going to say, and of course, we being at our age, you know, the 50 over audience here, lots of us have that we carry into new relationships.
That's called our baggage. Yeah, we carry our baggage, incompleteness. Coming back to one of the problems of all relationships today is our sexual liberation. Okay, sexual liberation took away women's sort of freedom to say no until I'm ready. Now it's kind of like you're a prude if you don't want to have sex on the first date. And there's all this pressure on guys. They already have enough biological pressure to want to have sex. And so what they did in the past is you got all these desperate young men wanting to have sex. They said, you can't have sex till you're married, which meant you can't have sex until you have love. Because sex without love dehumanizes a human being and disconnects us from our wisdom and spirit. So don't have sex right away. You don't have to, but there is a pressure on men for status to feel like I'm a worthwhile man, because, you know, we men are all worthwhile men. We get laid right away today. That's what the propaganda is everybody's having sex. They're not. But anyway, the pressure on a male is he's going to feel more rejected in this modern world if you say, I want to go slow. I'm traditional. I like to go slow. I like to get to know somebody. I like to be in a committed relationship. And that's a boundary. And so sometimes that's hard on a man's ego. So what you can always say if you're like kissing and being like a little bit like teenagers, because those teenage feelings start to come up when you're starting to feel excitement, then you just say, oh, this is great. And he's wanting to move forward. And you say, I need to stop us now. I need to go slow. That's all. I need to go slow. And then he says he negotiates. That's his job. Negotiate. Well, why not? And then you say, I just need to go slow. That's all you have to say. But what you can do for his ego is to say, but boy, I'm excited for when it happens, but I'm just not ready yet. I know I'm going to love it then. And even if you're feeling like you want to do it, don't do it. It sabotages your relationship to be that close too quickly. It's like ripping open a flower. A woman needs to open up gradually, and a man needs to slowly help open her up by doing things for her so that, she doesn't feel like, let's say it doesn't work out after you have sex and you did it right away. He disappears and you just feel like abused. I mean, women just like, how could he just disappear? Well, he found out he doesn't want to be with you. First, let him find out he wants to be with you in his mind and in his heart, and that you like him in your mind and in your heart by good conversations, admiring his character, admiring her character, etc., loving and appreciating a person, not as a sexual being, then as emotional, doing things for each other, mainly him doing things for her and her appreciating it. Then when you're ready, you go and be more intimate. So start north, always go south. Man's going to start south, at least when he was younger, not always older, but that's his nature, is to start south. But the woman puts up the wall and says, not yet, not yet, not yet. Create time for him to get to know you and earn his way in.
Yeah. Well, we have about, I don't know, 3 minutes or so left. Obviously, this is a topic we could talk about forever. So what you're saying, if I'm understanding this correctly, that the biggest expectation issues, if you will, are about the growth or the bond and sexual, where we mess it all up in the beginning.
Yeah, we mess it all up. The expectation, actually, some women go, if he doesn't kiss me right away, then he must not really like me. She has that expectation too, and he needs to go slow. I've been burned before going there. So we have this big sexual expectation. We need to drop that, realize we're more mature. We want to feel safe in our hearts. We want to get to know somebody, and then let sex come when it comes. Don't rush it.
Yeah. Very, very interesting. It's interesting that you said that too. It reminded me of my first date with my boyfriend. We've been together 10 years now, but he didn't like, we had a great first date. We sat there for 5 hours, but I thought he was at least going to kiss me goodbye, but he punched me on the arm.
Hey, girl.
So I get it. John, thank you so much. You always bring up such interesting points on these conversations. I'll link to our previous interviews. And I want to hold you over one more time. I have one more thing I want to talk with you about. So we'll see you in our next segment on Second Act TV.